So next we have Simon Mochrie, who's going to dig in a bit more detail into the content of Physics for Life Sciences.
I just want to thank you for the invitation and say what a pleasure it is to be here. I play a number of different roles at Yale. I research at the interface of physics and biology in the context of the Raymond and Beverly Sackler Institute there, and also with the help of the National Science Foundation. But today I want to talk to you with my instructor of introductory physics hat on, and I'm actually going to provide for you my experiences in the last model that Casey mentioned, namely the lone instructor defining the syllabus. And so I have had no problems whatsoever deciding what to do, or at least coming to the decision. I want to sort of emphasize what my goals are with this class, and it's what you see here. It's to reform and transform teaching introductory physics for the life sciences into a dynamic, engaging, and exciting subject that's relevant and essential to every biologist's undergraduate education. So this physics should not be and will not be sort of a layer on top of biology. In the future, I see physics and the physics-type approaches as sort of being integral to every biologist's education. And it's a sort of a cultural shift that I'm sort of proposing to start here, and I conversion. So thank you for laughing. How do I make this go? Oh yeah, thank you. I'm an experimental physicist, but what the heck. I want to first of all tell you about the audience that we have at Yale. So typically the students who come into my class are very smart students. Certainly many of them are going to be future leaders in biological research and clinical medicine. They're very, very good students. They're often in their sophomore year, their junior year. They spend a lot of time at the Yale School of Medicine, a lot of time doing research. And they are very sophisticated in their biological knowledge. But they come into my class thinking that this is just a class that they need to do to tick that box for the MCAT. And what I want to do is to change their minds about that preconception. I would say that their math skills, and this will be across all introductory physics classes. I'm sure Casey says the same thing. Their math skills are weak, and one of the things we do in these introductory classes is we exercise their math skills, and that's one of our goals, really. 60% of the class is biological science majors, 80% are pre-med, sophomores and juniors. It turns out 65% female and 50% non-white in my class. And this is just a little plea. We really need to do the very best that we can for these students to turn them into these future leaders that they're gonna be. So this is the philosophy that I wanted to bring to this class. It's our opportunity to start them off on a path to mathematical engagement with biology. If you don't do this in introductory physics, which they all have to take, when are you going to do it? And there's only one chance to make a first impression. If we sort of turn them off from mathematics and physics at this early stage, maybe we've lost them forever. So I didn't have any trouble selecting my topics. Sometimes I choose a topic one year and I throw it out, didn't like it. But the topics and examples I've chosen are selected to be engaging for life science students and convey that physics and math can make key contributions to life science. And I do try and maintain as best as I can mathematical sophistication and use the appropriate mathematics. So I use complex numbers, for example. I use eigenvectors. I use eigenvalues in my introductory class. I also, because computer simulations are so important these days, not only in physical sciences but in the life sciences, I try and engage them with computer simulations and visualizations as much as possible. I love Wolfram Alpha. It really helps the students do algebra, which they otherwise can't do. So here's a sort of a description of my syllabus. I don't really want to spend much time on it because you can look at it at your leisure. Several of the modules are very similar to what you would see in a usual introductory class, but the other ones are novel for introductory physics for the life sciences. I should have said that. ICLS is sort of the standard term for introductory physics for the life sciences. But my claim, at least, is that the the unusual modules here are ones that you would naturally, a physicist would naturally consider to be physics. Statistical mechanics, fluid mechanics, things that are treated in a sort of with a physics style and a physics flavor. This is just a set of successful with student examples that probably may surprise you about, is this a laser pointer? Yeah, so here we have a perfect example of convergence. We have an exponential growth of flu infections, and we have an exponential, so that's the flu cases. Here we have an exponential growth of energy in an atomic explosion. Very similar mathematics in both cases, but completely different phenomena. And of course, physics is all about describing different phenomena with simple mathematics. And this is one example. I have another example, which is the growth of HIV within a human body increases exponentially after initial infection. Brownian motion, laminar fluid flow, and Murray's law. Murray's law is this fantastic thing which specifies how parent arteries are related to daughter arteries, and it just comes out from basically Ohm's law applied to fluids and minimizing the energy. Various different things. The genetic toggle switch, a famous example of feedback, which is something that we should have been teaching in physics classes for the last 50 years, but somehow it dropped off the list. Now, when I describe this class, I'm always people always say must be much too hard for the students, and so we've taken a certain amount of trouble to characterize, discover what students think about the level of mathematics in the class. And oops, I want to go back. How do I go back? Oh no. Here we go. So somehow this didn't come out quite right, but this is people who think it's about equal to their current mathematical ability. Too advanced for a few of them. So, I mean, this looks like a beautiful little bell curve to me. I'm very happy with that. This is what they think about the level of calculus used. It's too high. 20 of them think it's too high. 30 of them think it's too low. And just like Goldilocks, 100 of them think it's just right. So, so I think the lesson from this that we should learn is that students can be led to do more math than physics faculty teaching traditional physics syllabus think they can. And my own hypothesis, and it certainly needs to be verified, is that we bore them so much with a traditional physics faculty. Thank you. With a traditional physics syllabus that they just turn off. And if we can actually excite them and engage them with really interesting stuff, why then they can do more. Let's see. And so this is just a bunch of quotes from these kids, and at least these subset of kids, and it's a good number of kids who like this class. I mean, I'd never believe I can't ever believe I'd say this, but I actually like physics now. I mean, this is great. This is really what we want. They now appreciate that physics and mathematics can do something for them. Okay, if, physics is the future of biology. That guy, I could have paid him money to say that. Of course, I didn't. Now, of course, this is all very rosy, except of course there's lots of challenges. As Casey mentioned, sustainability. How can this be made sustainable? If I disappear, other physics faculty may be reluctant to take on my responsibilities, and so that's definitely a problem. I've been working like mad on my course, but how do I get that out so other people can take it on board? Dissemination is a big problem, a big issue, including sort of modern student active approaches, getting student activity going in class. Another problem which sort of Casey alluded to is that actually everybody is a problem. Everybody is an expert on introductory physics. I mean, I don't know how many of you have taken introductory physics, but I bet it's a lot of you took introductory physics if you remember back far enough. But almost everybody is a problem. I mean, for example, you can't do introductory physics without covering rotational motion. You can't use Wolfram alpha, and eigenvalues are too difficult. The physics department insists that physics 170, the lower number, is the number for biologists, and physics 180 is the higher number for engineers because, well, who knows? Actually, the math level is exactly the same in the two classes. It's just a prejudice. It's difficult to do cross-disciplinary things, transdisciplinary things. We have different teaching loads from biologists. That creates additional difficulties for collaboration. And I mean, I think a real challenge for us, for me, for our class is how to introduce a lab component that, for example, includes something about force generation by actin polymerization, for example, or the genetic toggle switch, or those sorts of things. And so with that, I'll just say thank you, and that's how we do it at Yale.